I've been a judge for over 3 decades, long enough to know that the courtroom isn't just where laws get enforced. It's where character gets exposed. It's where masks fall off. It's where privilege runs face first into reality. And on a cold Tuesday morning in Detroit, Michigan, case number 23 CR 4892 landed on my bench with a defendant who thought his last name was a get-out-of-jail-free card. The bailiff called it out. People of the state of Michigan versus Tyler Kensington. And when Tyler walked in, the whole atmosphere shifted. You know what I mean? Some people enter a courtroom like they're scared. Some enter like they're sorry. Tyler Kensington entered like he owned the building. Tyler was 18, technically an adult, legally responsible, but emotionally, still acting like the world owed him something. He was tall, athletic build, fresh fade like he'd been to the barber an hour ago. He wore a cream-colored Givenchy sweatshirt, black Balenciaga track pants, and those chunky Triple S sneakers that cost more than some people's rent. Around his neck hung a thick gold chain with a diamond-encrusted dollar sign pendant that caught the fluorescent lights every time he moved. His wrist carried an iced-out Audemars Piguet, the kind of watch you see in rap videos. Even his cologne arrived before he did. Sharp, loud, expensive, like he wanted everyone to remember he'd been there. But it wasn't the clothes that made me watch him closely. It was the attitude. He didn't walk up to the defendant's table with his head down like most young men do when they're in trouble. He strolled, hands in his pockets, earbuds still in. I had to tell him twice to remove them. When he finally did, he sighed like I was interrupting his day. The charges were displayed on my screen. Reckless driving, failure to yield to emergency vehicle, resisting arrest, and, this is the one that made my blood pressure rise, assault on a public servant. I looked up at him. "Mr. Kensington, do you understand why you're here?" He shrugged. "Yeah. Can we make this quick? I got a workout at noon." I paused. I've been insulted, ignored, and dismissed before. But there's something about that kind of arrogance that tells you everything you need to know about how a person was raised. I said, "Son, this is not a drive-through. This is a court of law. Show some respect." He smirked. Respect? For what? Then the victim stepped forward, and the room changed. Her name was Officer Janelle Brooks, 34 years old, 12 years on the Detroit Police Department. She wore her dress blues, 3 commendations pinned on her chest, and a soft brace around her right wrist. Her face was calm, professional, but I could see the tension in her jaw. She'd been hurt, and not just physically. I asked gently, "Officer Brooks, are you here regarding the incident on Grand River Avenue on November 2nd? "Yes, Your Honor," she said. Her voice was steady, but there was weight behind it. The kind of weight you carry when you've been disrespected in the line of duty. I looked at Tyler. "You see this officer? She's not a character in your Instagram story. She's a human being who serves this city." He rolled his eyes so hard, I thought they'd get stuck. Then he muttered under his breath, "She's fine." "This is such a setup." Officer Brooks flinched. Not because she was weak. Because being called a liar when you're telling the truth cuts deeper than any physical wound. The prosecutor stood. "Your Honor, may I present the facts?" I nodded. "Go ahead." Assistant District Attorney Marcus Freeman stepped forward with a folder thick enough to tell me this wasn't Tyler's first time dancing with trouble. He said, "Your Honor, on November 2nd at approximately 9:17 p.m., Officer Brooks was conducting a traffic stop on Grand River near Livernois. Her patrol vehicle had emergency lights activated. The defendant's vehicle, a white BMW M4, was observed traveling eastbound at an estimated 68 miles per hour in a 35 zone. The courtroom murmured, 68 in a 35. That's not speeding. That's recklessness. Freeman continued. Officer Brooks had her vehicle positioned in the right lane with lights flashing. Standard protocol. The defendant failed to slow down, failed to move over, and passed within 3 feet of her position. Officer Brooks closed her eyes briefly, like she was reliving it. Freeman said, Officer Brooks activated her siren and pursued. The defendant did not stop for 1.4 miles. When he finally pulled over near the Marathon gas station, Officer Brooks approached the vehicle and requested his license and registration. I leaned forward. And then what happened? Freeman's voice hardened. The defendant exited the vehicle without being asked. He approached Officer Brooks in an aggressive manner. She instructed him multiple times to step back. He refused. She placed her hand on her taser as a precautionary measure. The defendant then grabbed her wrist and shoved her backward. She fell against the curb. Her radio was damaged. Her wrist was sprained. Officer Brooks lifted her braced wrist slightly, like evidence didn't need words. I looked at Tyler. His face showed nothing. No remorse, no fear, just boredom. I said, Mr. Kensington, you put your hands on a police officer? He laughed, actually laughed. She grabbed me first. Officer Brooks's face tightened, but she kept her composure. That's training. That's discipline. Freeman said, Your Honor, we have dash cam footage, body cam footage, and witness statements from 2 bystanders at the gas station. I said, Play it. The screen lit up with dash cam footage. You could see Officer Brooks's patrol car, lights spinning red and blue against the night. You could see the white BMW flying past her like she wasn't even there. Then the pursuit, her siren wailing. The BMW weaving through traffic like it was a video game. When the car finally stopped, the body cam footage took over. Officer Brooks's voice was calm, professional. Sir, stay in the vehicle. I need your license and registration. But Tyler didn't stay in the vehicle. The door swung open and he stepped out, chest puffed, hands gesturing wildly. You could hear him clearly. You really stopped me? Do you know who I am? Officer Brooks kept her distance. Sir, I need you to step back and provide your documents. Tyler moved closer. I don't have to do nothing. You work for me. My taxes pay your salary. That line. My taxes pay your salary. I've heard it 1,000 times, and it never gets less insulting. It's the entitlement anthem. Officer Brooks said firmly. Sir, step back now, or you will be placed under arrest. Tyler stepped closer. For what? Driving? That's what cars are for. And then you saw it. His hand shot out, grabbed her wrist, and shoved. Officer Brooks stumbled backward, her body hitting the curb hard. Her radio flew off her belt and cracked on the pavement. She winced but got up immediately, pulling her taser. Get on the ground, now. Tyler raised his hands, but he was smiling like it was funny. Backup arrived within 60 seconds, 2 more officers who cuffed him while he yelled the whole time. This is illegal. My dad's gonna sue all of you. The footage ended. The courtroom sat in stunned silence. I looked at Tyler. You smiled. You assaulted an officer and smiled. He shrugged. It's not that deep. Not that deep. A 12-year veteran gets shoved to the ground, and it's not that deep. I said, what else do we have? Freeman said, Your Honor, at 9:54 p.m., while in custody, the defendant posted to social media. My eyebrows went up. Posted what? Freeman handed me printed screenshots. The first was a selfie Tyler took in the back of the patrol car, hands cuffed behind him, grinning. The caption read, 12 mad LOL. The next post was worse. A video of him laughing, saying, Cops really think they run something. Wait till my pops hears about this. Officer Brooks looked away. I could see her jaw clench. But Freeman wasn't done. Your Honor, there's more. At 10:11 p.m., the defendant made a phone call from the holding area. We have the recording. I said, play it. The audio was clear. Tyler's voice, loud and unbothered. Dad, yeah, I'm locked up. Some cop got in her feelings. I barely touched her. Just come get me. Bring the lawyer. This is so stupid. Then you heard a man's voice, calm, cold, calculated. What did you do, Tyler? Nothing. She's lying. You know how they are. The man sighed. I'll handle it. Don't say anything else. I looked at Tyler. That your father? Yeah, he said, like it was obvious. I sat back. So your first instinct wasn't to apologize or take responsibility. It was to call Daddy. Tyler's smirk faded just a little. I mean, yeah, that's what you do. I shook my head slowly. No, son, that's what children do. You're 18. You're an adult. You assaulted a police officer. You endangered lives on the road. And your solution is Daddy. He didn't answer. For the first time, I saw a crack in the confidence. Freeman said, Your Honor, there's also an outstanding matter. The vehicle Mr. Kensington was driving is registered to Kensington Equity Group, a real estate firm owned by his father. However, the insurance lapsed 3 weeks prior to the incident. Driving uninsured is a separate violation. Tyler's head snapped toward Freeman. That's not my fault. That's the company's problem. I said, You were driving it. That makes it your problem. Then Officer Brooks spoke. Her voice was quiet but firm. Your Honor, may I say something? I nodded. Of course. She turned slightly toward Tyler. I've been a cop for 12 years. I've been yelled at, spit on, threatened. I've had guns pulled on me. But what hurt the most that night wasn't my wrist. It was being treated like I was nothing, like my life didn't matter, like the badge I wear to protect people like him meant nothing. Her voice cracked just slightly. I have a daughter. She's 9. And I think about what kind of world she's growing up in when young men think they can put their hands on women, on anyone, and laugh about it. The room was silent. Tyler looked down, not in shame, in discomfort, like he wanted this to be over. I leaned forward. Mr. Kensington, earlier you said, call my daddy. So let's do that. His eyes widened. What? I looked at my clerk. Do we have a contact for his father? Freeman said, Yes, Your Honor. Howard Kensington, number on file from the arrest report. I said, Call him. Put it on speaker. Tyler's face went pale. Wait, no, you don't have to. I cut him off. You asked for him. Let's see if he can save you. The phone rang 3 times. Then a man's voice answered, sharp and impatient. This is Howard Kensington. I said, Mr. Kensington, this is Judge Greg Mathis, 36th District Court, Detroit. Your son Tyler is standing in front of me. There was a pause. Then the tone shifted. Not fear, calculation. Judge Mathis, what can I do for you? I said, Your son told me to call you. He seems to think you can make this go away. Howard Kensington let out a dry chuckle. Judge, Tyler's a good kid. I'm sure this is a misunderstanding. Officer Brooks stared at the speaker like she couldn't believe what she was hearing. I said, Mr. Kensington, your son assaulted a police officer. He drove 68 in a 35. He failed to yield to emergency lights. He resisted arrest. And when he got to the station, he laughed about it on social media. Silence. Then Howard said, Judge, I'm in a meeting right now. Can my attorney handle this? I said, No, you can handle this, right now, on this call. Tyler whispered, Dad, just tell him. Howard's voice turned cold. Tyler, be quiet. That hit Tyler like a slap. You could see it on his face, the realization that his father wasn't riding in to save him. I said, Mr. Kensington, do you know your son was driving an uninsured vehicle registered to your company? Howard hesitated. I'll have to check with my office. I said, You do that. But while you're checking, let me tell you what's going to happen here. I looked at Tyler. Mr. Kensington, you wanted your daddy. You got him. Now let's see if he can teach you something. I turned back to the speaker. Mr. Kensington, your son thinks his last name is a shield. He thinks money erases consequences. And judging by this conversation, I can see where he learned it. Howard's voice sharpened. Judge, with all due respect. I cut him off. With all due respect, your son put his hands on a woman who serves this city. He endangered lives. He mocked the law. And you're in a meeting. The courtroom was dead silent. Tyler looked like he wanted to disappear. Officer Brooks spoke again, her voice steady. Your Honor, I don't want revenge. I want him to understand that actions have consequences. That badge or no badge, we all deserve respect. I nodded slowly. Mr. Kensington, you still there? Yes, Judge, Howard said quietly. I said, good. Listen closely. I looked at Tyler. On the charge of reckless driving, I'm fining you $750. On failure to yield to an emergency vehicle, $500. Court costs included. Tyler swallowed hard. On the assault charge, I continued, I'm sentencing you to 90 days in county jail, suspended, with 18 months probation, mandatory anger management, and a no-contact order with Officer Brooks. Tyler's voice cracked. Your Honor, I held up my hand. I'm not done. You're also going to complete 300 hours of community service, not at some charity gala, not filing papers in your daddy's office. You're going to work with the Detroit Police Athletic League, helping at-risk youth. You're going to see what real officers do when they're not getting assaulted by entitled kids. His mouth opened, but nothing came out. I leaned forward. And here's the part your father needs to hear. You're going to write a letter of apology to Officer Brooks, a real one, not written by a lawyer, written by you. And you're going to read it in this courtroom at your review hearing on March 15th at 9:01 a.m. Tyler whispered, Yes, Your Honor. I looked at the phone. Mr. Kensington, you hearing this? Yes, Judge, Howard said, his voice smaller now. I said, Your son doesn't need a lawyer right now. He needs a father. He needs someone to teach him that respect isn't bought. It's earned. And right now, he hasn't earned anything. The line went quiet. Then Howard said, Understood, Your Honor. I said, Good. Don't call me again unless it's to tell me your son became a better man. I ended the call. Tyler stood there, shaking slightly. Not from anger, from the weight of reality finally hitting him. Officer Brooks nodded at me, a small gesture of gratitude. As the bailiff escorted Tyler out, he looked back once. And for the first time, I saw something other than arrogance. I saw fear. The fear of losing the protection he thought would always be there. When the courtroom cleared, I sat for a moment. I thought about my own past. Growing up in Detroit, getting in trouble, having judges who didn't give up on me, who made me accountable, who taught me that your circumstances don't define you. Your choices do. Justice isn't about punishment. It's about transformation. It's about showing someone that the world doesn't revolve around them. That respect is a two-way street. That privilege is a responsibility, not a weapon. Officer Janelle Brooks didn't come to court for revenge. She came because she believes in the system, because she still has hope that people can change. And Tyler Kensington walked in thinking his last name was Armor. He walked out learning it was just a word. If this story moved you, if you believe accountability still matters, hit that like button right now. Subscribe so you don't miss the next case, the one where a defendant tried to bribe me with cash in open court and learned that justice can't be bought. Comment below and tell me, do you think Tyler learned his lesson or will he be back? Because in my courtroom, second chances come with expectations, and I'm watching.